one time I thought, wow, if this is what it's going to be, if I'm going to have to constantly be told to lose weight, if I'm going to have to constantly be told to change myself, I don't know if I can deal with this. Glamour, 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 glamour. My grandmother was a model. My aunt was a model. My mom was a model. So it was like a lineage of models. So I always saw these photos of them and they looked so glamorous. And my mom would tell me stories about traveling. And, I just thought, oh my God, this is the life, right? Like lights, cameras, action. A young Hunter McGrady it's funny. I used to be very, very shy and reserved, but for some reason, whenever I was in front of the camera, I was a completely different person. I totally came alive. I was confident. I was loud. I was eager. I lit up in front of the camera. And I think that's where, both of my parents were like, oh, okay. We see the direction she's heading in. My mom was a model. My dad is still currently an actor. So I grew up with, being around the industry, so to speak, whether it was, modeling, acting, whatever it was. I grew up on set. That's kind of where my love of modeling came from and where I started. So when I started modeling at 16 years old, I was the thinnest I've ever been, and I was constantly told to lose weight by agents. They kept saying, you just have to narrow your hips a little bit. You just have to take a little bit off. And I'm like, it's bone. I can't go anymore, And the last straw for me was actually showing up to a photo shoot with my mom for this t-shirt company. And we walked on set and everyone was kind of looking at me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is my first, kind of big thing. And everyone was kind of whispering. And then all of a sudden the producer comes up to me and goes, oh my gosh, Hunter, we are so sorry. We didn't realize how big you were. And I was like, what? Huh? What? Again, 6 feet, size 2, very tiny, was working out hours a day, was eating in calorie deficit, was really hurting my body and my mental health at the same time. And I was like, oh my God, this is not enough either. At one time I thought, wow, if this is what it's going to be, if I'm going to have to constantly be told to lose weight, if I'm going to have to constantly be told to change myself, I don't know if I can deal with this. I was already heavily getting depression and anxiety. So I actually went and did therapy. And one of the most poignant things that my therapist said to me, she said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go home. I want you to take a shower, strip yourself down to completely naked, slick your hair back, no makeup, your most vulnerable self. And I want you to look in the mirror and tell yourself 10 things that you want to love about yourself. And she said, it's gonna be really rough and really hard for you the first quite a few times, but the more you do this, the more your brain, start believing these things about yourself. And that really helped me. And it's, what we call positive affirmations. And I've been doing it every single day since. I don't miss a day where I don't say something positive to myself, literally in the mirror, in my eyes. It's a very humbling moment to, be honest with yourself and look at yourself. And it's funny when you become older in this journey, your affirmations become less about the way you look and more about what you bring to the table. So, when I first started, it was like, I love my stretch marks. I love my cellulite, things like that. And now it's, I am enough. I am worthy. I am, I bring a lot to the table, and they kind of switch, but they're ever growing. I realized that I wanted to do this the rest of my life when I realized what came along with it. So I signed with a modeling agency at 19 years old as a plus size model. And I think in that moment I realized, oh, this is cool. I get to travel to amazing places, and I get to experience some of the most incredible people. And I thought, this is something I want to do. This is really special. And I never take it for granted. I think the catalyst for me for really deciding I wanted to just be me was I was doing a lot of interviews, especially after I had shot for Sports Illustrated and it came out. I was really, at first, because it was almost overnight, this like influx of followers and interviews and kind of being in the spotlight. I kept, at the beginning of that, I kind of tried to, okay, button up, make sure everything looks good, make sure you're being, XYZ. This is what they do, Hunter. And then, as the last 4 or now 5 years have gone on, I'm like, what is it? What is that bringing to the table? Then you're like everybody else. Be honest, be authentic, say things that, maybe aren't popular. Say things that, like, for instance, like on my Instagram, I talk about things like butt acne. Like, I want to be open, and maybe it's not so what society thinks is beautiful or sexy, but it's like, I don't care. I want to take that narrative back and say, I just want to talk about things that are important to me and things that, I never want people to feel alone. And that's my biggest mission. I never want people to feel like they're not seen. And so I try to pick up those pieces myself and say, hey, listen, you're not alone. Oh my God, wait till you hear what I've been through. I'm sure you've been through it too. If I was to go back in a time machine and talk to young Hunter, I would tell her, do not worry so much about what people think about you. Do not worry so much about what you look like. Do not worry so much about what your body looks like. And I would probably meet her in high school. I would probably meet her at 16 years old and say this. I think that was one of the most pivotal times in my life. And I would just say, don't stress so much about it. Trust me. There's bigger things out there, and you're going to use all of this one day, to your advantage, and you're going to use these stories. So don't worry about it so much. Looking back on my journey, it absolutely was worth it. I always, during the times going through, when I was 16 and I was really learning to find who I was, and I was in this industry that was picking me apart, and high school, where I actually ended up getting pulled out of high school because bullying was so bad, to, starting my plus size, career at 18, 19 years old. All these times in between, even if there was really gut-wrenching, hard lessons learned during that time, they're all part of your story today. They're all part of your testimony. And I truly believe that. I believe that no matter what you've been through, there's light on the other side, and it will all be for a reason. Let me tell you something about butt acne. I think I had the most DMs I've ever had in my entire life on butt acne, from men, women, everybody. They were like, okay, yes, we need to talk about this.